Okay, Swadee Krap. Welcome to TSN News. See you again after yesterday's TSN New Gen talk today. We are one ahead earlier of our normal TSN weekly talks. Today is Thursday, 15th of October 2020. Among Bangkok's protests going on, so wherever you are, please check your traffic route before going anywhere in Bangkok. And today with us we have Manika Kaur, as it's written Australian Thai, Kirtan for Causes. Why she chose the concept Kirtan for Causes, and we have her with us today right from Australia. She's there with us in the line, and before she joins us, all our viewers could join in by the time, and we'll talk to her regarding her passion for music, why she diverted her energy to Kirtan instead of being a singer, and what's her hobby, and how come she has reached that level of success in the world of Kirtan, where many of us as youth couldn't go. And let's waste no time and introduce to you our guest for the day, Manika Kaur. Hello, Swadikap Manika. Welcome to TSN News.
Swatika, Sasrikalji, thank you for having me.
Okay, so people might be thinking, how come an Australia is saying Swadika?
Well, I was born in Melbourne, but I lived in Thailand from the time of 1 years old till 8 years old, and went back to Australia. And then every year I'd come back to Bangkok. But my mom was also born in Bangkok.
Okay, so your mom is a Thai.
Yes, she's Thai,
Okay, so that's
Punjabi
why
Thai.
Australian Thai. So it can be Thai Australian. So you have two passports.
Yes, actually.
Mecca, can you just speak about you a bit before I share life to another pages of mine? So regarding her birth, you have all known. Okay, regarding her youth, she just told you. Just about your background regarding your education. Was it in Thailand or Australia? Something about that. By the time I share the live feed to another of my viewers, another group.
Sure, no problem. So I studied my younger years in Bangkok. I went to ISB, International School of Bangkok. And then when I was 8, I moved back to Melbourne, back to Australia. And then I went to Kerry. Then I went to Presbyterian Ladies College. I did my university there at RMIT. And then I got married, had an arranged marriage, moved to Dubai when I was 23. And it was in Dubai that I started my first project, my first album. And now I'm not actually in Melbourne, I'm actually living in London.
Oh my God. So that's a mistake. See, she cannot stay at one place. That I should have known. Her breakfast is in Sydney, her lunch is in Melbourne, and her dinner is in Thailand.
I do like to travel.
Okay, so how come are you in London? Is it before the COVID started or just?
No, I moved to London last year. I had delivered twins and I moved to London when they were 4 months old because my husband acquired a business in the UK and we knew we were going to move months before we delivered, but we couldn't move earlier because I was very, very heavily pregnant with the twins. So,
Congratulations to both the twins.
thank
Okay.
you.
Do your kids have UK passport, Australian passport, Bangkok passport?
Actually, right now they have British and Australian passports.
Okay.
But I wasn't born in Thailand. I have one because of my mom, but I'm not sure if my children are eligible. Haven't
I
done the research yet. It's been a lot. They're just that my twins just turned 2, and I have a 9-year-old as well.
Okay, okay. So you're a mother of three, basically.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Is your husband Australian?
He actually is Punjabi as well, Sikh, but
Yeah.
he pretty much grew up in Dubai. His family's been there for 40 years, and he studied all his life in the UK. So he went to rugby, then LSE, then Oxford, then worked at Merrill, and then went to the south of France where he went to INSEAD. So he's been in the UK most of his life. So coming here is very natural for him.
So how are you related to Thailand? Basically, okay, the first 8 years of your life you spent in Thailand, in education in Thailand. So you come every year on a yearly basis to stay with your parents come together or for
No,
holidays?
my parents, they kind of live everywhere, but they live in Thailand a lot of the year. So
Okay.
in our holidays, I come home with the kids and spend all my summers in Thailand, really. I'm in Thailand every year, sometimes twice a year.
Okay.
I've sung in
Because
the Gurdwara in Thailand also.
I got a chance to actually go to your. You invited Virji from. What was it that you had it for Kirtan in Thailand last year?
Oh yes, Paya Nanthvir, uh,
Payanantri.
for
Correct.
my eldest brother's 10-year anniversary and his 40th birthday.
Okay, yes, yes. Payanantri was there at her place for Kirtan. You have a great passion for Payanantri's Kirtan.
Yeah, pretty much. Anybody really. In general, Kirtan is
Okay, so
something
now
that
let's get to the point of why is it Kirtan for causes? You have a passion for music, okay, as you transform it into your Kirtan, okay, then why didn't you ever think, well, I could have gone to sing movie songs, the other songs? Why divert to on Kirtan, especially on Kirtan?
it's funny you ask me that question because every producer that I've worked with, managers that I've been in front of, labels that I've sat with,
Right,
even agents have always said to me, why don't you do something more mainstream? Why do you sing something that has this kind of market share? There's
correct.
nobody that really listens to Kirtan, so why don't you do something more popular? You have the personality for it, you have the means for it, why not? And the simple truth is, there are enough people doing that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And that's not where my heart is at. I want to create incredible Kirtan albums, world class Kirtan albums with incredible musicians for
Correct.
that next generation to help people connect to God. I have
Mm,
to say, in my hardest times, in the worst times, the scariest times of my life, I found shelter in the Shabad.
correct.
I found savior there. And I dread to think that the next generation won't have that same shelter when they may need it. They won't
Mm,
have that outlet. They won't have that place to go to where they would be safe. Kirtan and Sikhi has given that to me. And as a mother of 3 kids, that's the one thing I want to leave. And I find it through, I mean, just being able to sit down and sing can do so much. Just music in general, but then when you take kirtan, when you take these love letters to God and you sing
mm,
them with your heart, it's a completely different effect on a
correct.
on your chromosomes, on your brain, on your energy, on your frequency. There's a power behind it, an indescribable power. And empowering that next generation not to drift away, because now that social media, television, and everything is so accessible, there's so many other things for them to look at. How do
Mm,
we keep our children interested in Sikhi? And so that's what I'm trying to create, which is why I've done 3 albums, my 4th album coming out next year. I'm
correct.
currently building an app coming out next year, and I've written my first children's book coming out next year, and I'm working on a cartoon series. And
Wow.
everything is Sikhi based, and probably will get viewed by a very small number of people or listened to
Yeah,
by a very small number of people, but that's what makes me happy. I don't
You
need a
don't
huge
mind me
audience.
asking, you don't mind asking me something straightforward. Now, the reason I want to ask you, I hope you are open enough to accept it. Can I say that due to your financial background, you have the resources, time, and God gifted talent to go on this path? Now, if you ask someone on the other hand who is not financially strong,
And
we will say, Paji, कार चलाना है, ठीक है, बच्चे ने खर्चे देने ने, और I have to earn also. I'm sorry to ask you now, is that a major role there that is helping you also?
so I'll tell you, with my first album, the
Okay,
Bandhana album,
yeah,
I did that album completely for free. I met
okay,
Sukhbir.
yeah.
My husband spoke to Sukhbir, said, do you know some producer who can produce a Kirtan album? My wife had this dream of doing an
Mm,
album to raise money for the Gurdwara. A couple of days later, he called me up. He said, I'll do it. I'll do one track. We started working
mm,
on one track. He said, I'll do the whole album. He did the whole album for free. The
okay.
company that printed the booklets, Atlas Printing Press in Dubai, the wife of
Mm,
the owner is Sardarni. She said, I want this to be my contribution. She did it for free. The company that printed the CDs, Viva Entertainment,
Okay.
the company, the husband owns it. The wife is one of my best friends. They were like,
Okay.
this is from us. I made a CD that cost $0 and raised over
Okay.
1 million dirhams.
Okay. So basically, the
300,000. So
$300,000.
money actually didn't come into it, even though I was willing to spend money. Money
Okay.
didn't actually factor into my first album at all, and it raised a substantial amount of money for the Gurdwara. So I
So
think,
what
you know, there's that Shabad Charan Sharan Guru,
a
Ek
kind of
Panda Jai Chal, take one step towards God, and God takes 100 steps towards you. Today, there's
your
social media. Switch on your camera and start singing.
correct. The
You can
issues
do it
will
for
be the
free.
sound. Good. So basically, if I understand it, just for our viewers who are listening, so don't worry about your financial issues.
Yeah.
Sharon, good egg manager. Just go ahead, do the work for the community, for the Lord, and automatically get a helping hand without you knowing it.
Financially, what my financial situation has allowed me to do is
Yeah.
create my second album.
Hmm.
I was able to hire incredible musicians. So it
Okay.
allowed me to bring kind of what was in my mind, what was in my heart, the sound,
Yeah.
to life. Because I could go and hire a brilliant violinist. I could go and hire a brilliant tabla player. People
Correct.
that are truly one with their instrument. And the
Hmm.
thing is, for me, none of my tracks are about me. It is a partnership with all of these people who are bringing their full heart, their full artistry to this
Correct.
track. And that's what makes the track, in my opinion, beautiful.
Hmm.
There's love behind it.
Correct.
And so that's
And the
what I try to,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it's not like I have unlimited funds. I have a budget. I use that budget instead of buying bags or going shopping and
Yeah.
going out for meals and hanging out. I spend all my free time composing music. I go to the studio. I compose from home. Sitting in Dubai, I composed 3 albums sitting in Dubai that I didn't record in Dubai. But when I came for summer holidays in London, I would spend a week recording a full album in 1 week that I would spend months preparing in Dubai.
Hmm.
So and also not having to go to work gives me the time. So since
Yes.
I have the time, may I spend it wisely?
Yeah. Sure. While you were working on all this, were you married at that time, or
Yes,
okay?
I
So
got married.
who was your support, hard support during that time?
Definitely, my husband was he really believed in me,
Okay.
and that really made a difference because I definitely have a lot of uh, issues. Like I don't have that much confidence, to be honest.
Okay.
But he's really built up my confidence, and then doing that first album and seeing where it reached really proved to me that this is something I can do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to prove to myself because that album was produced by Sukhbir and it has his genius in it, that first
Yeah.
album. But then he's busy, he's a superstar, he's living his
Yeah.
life. And I thought,
Okay.
well, how do I keep doing this? So I created my dad's 60th birthday was coming up, and his favorite Shabad is Guru Ram Das Rakho Sarnai. So I
Okay.
thought for his birthday, I'm going to record this Shabad. I found a Swedish producer living in Dubai,
Mm.
went and I composed the melody, went and recorded the Shabad. Then I thought I'd love to make a video for this about Guru Ram Das Ji's life because so
Mm.
many people don't actually know how
No.
humble Guru Ram Das Ji's beginnings actually are and how beautiful his life is. And
Correct.
so I wrote a script and I found an artist, a hand shadowgrapher named Amar Sen from Calcutta.
Okay.
And I sent him the script and I created this video. And then that video went on to win Best Short Film at the
Yeah.
Sequence in the US.
Okay.
It got like 4 million views. Amitabh Bachchan and a few other celebrities actually shared this video.
Mm.
And I mean, it really was appreciated. And it was something that I did by myself from A to Z.
Yeah.
And so it proved to me that I could do this. And it was after this video that I registered my charity and started Kirtan for Causes. And I
Okay.
realized that I want to spend my life creating beautiful Kirtan that reaches people's hearts and helps them connect and find helps them overcome anxiety. And these are the emails I get from people that they're sick and this helps them, or they have anxiety and listening to Kirtan helps them. And I know
Actually,
because it helps me when
what
I
I'm
go and listen to
what I'm just
Kirtan.
trying to understand from here is your first album with Sukhbir made you think why it might be just because of his popularity that had gained you so much uh, recognition. So the second step that you went all solo by yourself, your hard work, and it proved more successful than the first album.
I mean, I wouldn't say more successful because what that first album did, no other album has ever done. And I think
Okay.
also because of the cause, people, our community, that we love building gurdwaras because it's a physical thing you can see. So you'll
Correct.
do it. But every album after that has been to educate children in Punjab. So it's
Hmm.
really hard for me to get the same kind of support to connect one family to one child in Punjab. And so I've made videos, like I made a video called Dear Punjab, I'm Sorry, which is a spoken word poetry
Yeah.
video. And that's informing people about just how dire the situation is in Punjab. I keep trying to find whatever ways I can to encourage people to focus their energy there. And just if I could just get each family to take just one child in Punjab and educate that one child in one generation, we can reverse the problems that we face there.
This
Like
is
we
what
have.
I was going to ask you now. Your scheme that you just said was educate one kid in Punjab, correct? It was
And
something that you had supported it. How does it actually work? If somebody right now wants to support this cause, how does it actually work?
so my dad has been doing this for a long time, and I piggyback off his office. So he's got all the infrastructure there. So when
Okay.
people buy my music or buy a ticket to my concert or help
Mm.
support my work in any way, I then take those funds, like YouTube views or Spotify views, I take those funds. I go to my dad's office in Punjab. I say, show me your most desperate children who need to get educated, and
Okay.
put that file, and they'll open a file. And we
Okay.
have lots of files of lots of children waiting to get educated, all that have been vetted and checked. It's a big
Mm.
office now. It started with 2 employees. Now we have 80 employees. So it's
Wow.
really grown as a project because it started actually in 2004. So it's been
Mm.
going for a long time. So it's really grown, and we've become wiser. We've become smarter. We move slowly because we make sure that the right thing is happening. We
Correct.
try to avoid wrong things from happening by individuals. We have a lot of checks in place because we've
Yeah.
learned, because my dad doesn't take any donations. So he's supporting 500 children with his own funds, with his own kind of daswand. And so
Correct.
for him, checking and making sure all the checks are in place and those 500 children are monitored is of paramount. So
Correct.
I piggyback off of that. I'll go and take a
Mm.
child. But what I really try to do is I say to families, I can't oversee every child.
Yeah. Correct.
I've got all these other things. Just take one child and really promise to be there for that child. We put you in touch with the office. Your funds
Mm.
does not go to the office, it goes straight to the school and
Okay.
puts a space in that school, a chair in that school for that child. And that child will get a uniform and a meal. A lot of these children don't even get a meal a day, but the school
Mm.
gives them meals, and they get books, and they get a chance to escape the cycle of poverty. And I've even made videos of children who have come through this scheme and are now self-sufficient, earning money, and are successful in their own right. So
Correct.
I've it's just, trying to inspire people. I call it creative begging.
Creative.
Although I don't take, I've never taken any donations
Yeah.
myself unless you buy the CD. And sometimes people will give me 100 baht instead of,
Okay.
for the CD, and say, just
Yeah.
take it as my contribution. People who know
Correct.
me, family,
Yes,
friends,
friends, family, relatives, and all. Because
yeah.
some of them nowadays they don't use CD anymore. Correct.
Yeah, now they don't use CD, so it's like a whole nother. It's difficult. The music industry is actually a very difficult industry. It is set up so that the artist makes no money.
I
We do
have
all the
one.
work, we write the songs, we even fund our
Yeah.
albums, but we make very
Now
little.
I have one question from you, which I really wanted to ask you. Now, in your field, like what your passion is to bring Kirtan's revolution to various instruments, as I can say, appealing to the youth. Okay. Now, how do we describe it if is a person is loving the Kirtan, but he doesn't understand it due to the language barrier that he has. Now, whether he's outside India or any other country, the Ma Boli is okay automatically Thai, English, whatever it is. but then we accept it. Wow, Punjabi becomes not the second, maybe the third language for them until and unless you are forced by the elders to learn. In this case, if that person has a passion for kirtan but doesn't understand Punjabi, do you think of any way that you can come out with something which makes it easy for him to grasp or understand that Shabad without he having known Punjabi before?
So I'm actually that person you're talking about right now. I grew up in
Okay,
Australia and I grew up in Thailand. And then I
okay,
went back to Australia and I missed the whole Punjabi train. I can
okay,
read, I can write, I can understand. My speaking is terrible. I do part, okay. But I understand that person really well because I am that person.
okay.
I would listen to a Shabad sung by Niranjan Singh or
Yeah,
by Harjinder Singh, and I would be so in love with the Shabad that I would go and try and search for the meaning. In the
correct.
beginning, when I was young, there was no SeekNet and all of these things where
Yes,
you can
yes.
Google the meaning. I used to take the Amrit Kirtan and go and sit with my mom and say, translate it for me
Okay.
so that I can understand it better. When you love something, you might not immediately act on it, but as that love grows, as you find yourself in that love, you
Mm,
will go searching for a deeper meaning. And each person I've come to notice, I mean, I could be wrong, it's just my feeling.
correct.
Each person blossoms when they're meant to and in their own time. Nothing needs to be forced and shouldn't be forced because everybody has their journey to take, their road to take, and it's ups and downs, and that's what makes ends up getting you to that place you want to be. It's those pitfalls that you go through, those dark times that you go through, that help you realize
Yeah.
what you really want to do with your time, what's valuable. So it's a
And
slow blossoming that
this
happens.
question I just asked you was close to my heart. Okay, let us just welcome some of our viewers. Nanak Sethi, he says you have a beautiful heart. Daljit Wal is Chawla is watching us. Meg Makhawan, Poom Charan. Is she Thai Indian? Her English is very good. Okay. And we have
พูดไท
Rajni
ย
Dao.
ได้นะคะ
พูดนิดๆหน่อยๆได้
ไม่เก่งมาก
Looking back, Rajni Dawar here is saying
ใช้ได้
she's a beautiful soul. Okay, anybody who has any comments, want to share anything? We have Manika with us for some more time. Actually, what you were just talking, whenever I ask anybody, if some of my fans or viewers are watching, they will say I'm asking the same thing to so many people because what you just answered was something that's close to my heart. I am in the same position like you. We studied in Missouri. I can read Hindi, and I was like zero in Punjabi. I don't know anything. But as of today, the passion of Kirtan, when you listen to your elders are listening at home, it just gets absorbed automatically. Now, I didn't want it to go to a teacher and learn Punjabi, but these LEDs in Gurdwaras have totally helped because then there's the English translation, there's the Punjabi, and when you sing along, you'll know what akshar the first letter is, the second letter is. So that automatically made me kind of be able to read Punjabi as of today. So,
That's amazing because do you know who did the save of the screens? My dad.
okay,
Because all of his kids are like this. They need the
okay,
Punjabi, the English, and the translation. And he
yeah,
realized that as a generation, we're missing. So it was first done in the Melbourne Gurdwara, and
okay,
then
correct.
Bangkok, Dubai, and so on.
So, he has experienced it from the kids in the family, and then
Yeah,
other yes, yes.
yeah.
So, people who face these and know how to take others, the elders, they will just do it without correct. So, guys, now you know when these screens and all are coming, it is somebody who has a passion or love for Kirtan and who wants to take the youth ahead. The other thing that you just spoke was really nice to listen when you just said, well, everybody has a road. Sometimes we don't force our kids to go in the park, go into Kirtan. And the other thing you said before that, which as my sons are 20 and 21, I got married at the age of 19. So now, suppose now if you tell them to do part like you said, they will not. But slowly, when situations in life take them along, you see, they see the value of listening or doing something at night or Kirtan Soila, start from something. So that answer was something I think many of our viewers, parents who are listening, would agree to it. Let's go ahead. I have one of your pictures over here with me that I wanted to share. What is this actually about? Can you share with our viewers?
Yeah, okay. So this is actually a review that I received from Pop Matters in America. So Pop Matters is a very big online platform with 20 million followers.
Okay.
And when my album came out, my second album came out, it actually made it into the world music charts in Europe. And so it
Okay.
got some notoriety, and it kind of then started getting picked up and getting reviews. And so the
Mm.
Pop Matters reviews was actually one of the very big ones, because then they featured one of my shabads for 1 month online,
Correct.
on their portal, on their website. So that was quite I mean, I didn't plan for it. So, but when it happened, it's like
So
when I
it
did my first album, I never
people
thought it
loved
would
it.
raise a lot of money,
You
you
mean to
know.
say people loved it?
Yes,
In your music video, are the English translations down with that, or it's just the
always.
music that?
Always. I always put English translations because I
Okay.
appreciate it. So
Yes,
I know
yes,
other people will appreciate it. Even if you speak sometimes, if you speak Punjabi, sometimes you can't follow everything. So
yeah.
just having it, and it just, sometimes you just read one line, and it's so inspiring that it can sit inside you for a while, and make you, and cause you to have to take the time to contemplate and apply it to your life. This, it's, Gurbani is such a high frequency, and we are
Mm.
all below it, and the more and more we expose ourselves to it, the more our frequency will rise. But it's not
Okay.
just, it takes inner work, it's going through things, then forces you to look inside. The one big thing that, one big kind of, I would say, catalyst in my life was when I started to look at things differently. Instead
Mm.
of asking, why is that person saying that, or why is that person doing that, I would ask, what is it about me that attracts this?
Mm.
What is it about me that calls for this kind of treatment? I think
Mm.
what I've realized over the last maybe 5 years is that the entire world,
Correct.
including myself, and I'm hoping to shift out of this, or I think I'm on the way of shifting out of it, lives under a blanket of self victimization, which is why Mother Earth is so victimized. The biggest victim is Mother Earth. We all
Correct.
live in this mindset of self victimization. We all need a sob story or a sad story. It allows us to play a role that we want to play. So we all call to us what we want. And so if I look back at my life when I was younger, even when I was just 8 years old, like a little bit younger than eight, actually seven, I had 6 or 7, I had a teacher who, when I was studying in Thailand, she was a tutor of mine, and she used to pull my hair out from the back of my head and dig her nails into my back. Okay. And I never told anybody. And then
Mm.
later on in my life, I would encounter bullies, bullies, bullies. It was like a pattern in my life. But
Mm.
I got used to that pattern. And what that did was it allowed me to play the role of the victim. We're all playing a role. We're all stuck in our ego. We're playing some kind of role. But the moment I became aware that I'm creating all of this,
Mm.
I'm calling all of this, and it's my perspective, the moment I became aware, it's like behind these pair of eyes there's another pair of eyes, and behind those there's another. It's like the one behind those eyes opened, and that new me moved forward, and there's no space for that old thinking anymore. That had to die. And life is like that cycle of birth and death. So as an old you die, which is a very painful thing, a new you takes birth. That realization has really changed my life. In fact, I went from what I would say a life of tolerating to a life of
Correct.
thriving, a life of
But
enduring to
how?
really living a beautiful life.
But
And that's
how?
because this changed.
This change, how did this change? What made it change?
So I would say that, definitely kirtan and praying helped
Okay.
me get through the hard times. But
Okay.
reading, reading, reading spiritual books, listening to people instead of thinking I know so much,
Mm-hmm.
emptying out my cup so there's space for knowledge, and then coming home and taking the time to contemplate it. Really
Mm.
just sit and contemplate, sit in silence and really contemplate it. The answers are all inside of each of us. That's, I feel, is the case. I'm no one to give advice to anybody. But for me, I found that all the answers are inside myself. And as my thinking shifts, the world around me shifts as well. The moment I stopped thinking like a victim and stopped playing this role of a victim, my whole life changed for the better. Everything around me that was keeping me in that place changed. And I've just moved in the right direction. And with it, everything improved. My health improved, my mindset improved. Then I had two more beautiful babies. Everything changed for the better the moment I changed. So,
I don't
whatever
think,
your situation you're in, or whatever situation I'm in, I ask myself, what is it about me that is attracting this? There's
it's me.
no blame on anybody else now. I've taken control, I've taken power of the situation. I'm not saying, oh, this person did this, so my life is like this. That's the old me. No,
Correct.
no, no. Not the this me over the last 5 years that I've kind of come to
Maybe
have this
that's
realization.
the teenage time that people have like this. It might be with age. When we grow up, we understand more, we realize more, we be more patient. Okay, I have a question over here from Anne Singh Sachakun. Okay, Kunkaram Sethi Swadikap. She just says, how so sweet of you. Anne is asking here, what's your planning process like? Do you pick the Shabbat that you like and make the video, or just like that? There's a question from Anne Singh Sachakun.
Um, God, it's always different. There's never one sort of process. Sometimes I'm sitting in Babaji's room and I'm doing my Sej part, and
Okay.
something just, I read something, even though I don't understand it fully, it makes me feel a certain way. And I just start to hear music in my head. And then
Mm.
I'll close Babaji, and then I'll take my phone and start recording the Shabad
Okay.
into my phone. And then
So
later
it
on, when
just
I have time, I'll sit in front
comes
of my
out.
keyboard and
Mm.
pull it together and try to create something around it. Sometimes I'm reading the meaning of something, and I'm
Yeah,
like, wow, that line is beautiful. Let me go look up the Shabad, and I'll go look up the Shabad, and I'm like, this is something people need to hear.
yeah.
And so then I'll try to compose something around that. So it's never the same process. It's artistic people are always like that. We're like this way, that way, this way, that way. So,
Okay. Let's just share one more picture of you that I got it on. This is Spotify playlist, New Kirtan. New Kirtan playlist on Spotify is a collection of uplifting mantras aimed to give you a blissful experience for pure being, pure awareness. Okay, so you mean to say this is a playlist that you have on Spotify?
Anji, yeah. So we have some playlist on Spotify, Kirtan playlist, my Kirtan, other people's Kirtan, and it's just curated to create a little bit of a journey for the listener.
Yeah.
Um, I would say that my Spotify Kirtan playlist has a kind of a different listener, a new age listener,
Hmm.
because my third album, I was signed with a label in the US called Six Degrees, which is owned by
Okay.
Island Records, and that's a very new age kind of label. So they'll create playlists, they'll put it out on Spotify, they'll do their own sort of thing, and then obviously I share it on my social media. But it's great because I have a lot of Europeans and
Hmm.
Goras actually messaging me, and the messages I get are so wonderful, so beautiful. Sometimes people are struggling with health or anxiety or depression of some kind, and they feel something resonating inside of them when they hear this sort of music, some kind of peace. And then they'll ask me for the meanings of certain shabads. I'll email it to them, or send it to them via social media.
Why I asked you this question, why when we listen to it and we don't understand it, but we feel a sense of peace inside us by listening to the Shabads. So that's why I was asking when you launch your on your international platform, that's why do you put the wordings? Because even without the wordings, it brings so much peace,
Yeah.
Gurbani in whatever form, whatever instrument you use to come out to the people. One question here now. If has anybody tried to take Gurbani in the rock way of rock music way, like doom, 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 something like that?
Um, like when you say rock, so if you look at my Mool Mantar with Talvin Singh, the
Okay,
bass beat is actually considered a rock beat, but
okay.
it's given a nice grounding to that Shabad. And then that Shabad was played in Spain every morning on the radios, and it was
Yeah,
shared everywhere. But the
that's why I
base of
was
that is
asking.
very much a rock beat. When you hear
Yeah,
my next album that's coming out, with each album, you want to explore all of God's instruments. What
correct.
did God create? What sound didn't God create? And bring it all to bring honor to his words, to the Shabad. So with each album, I really try to do that. I will be watching a concert these days, really Zoom concerts or online concerts, and in the
Correct.
background of the artist, there's an instrumentalist playing a flute or playing the shanai, and
Hmm.
I will go to their page and then I will message them and say,
Oh,
"Can you feature on this Shabad of mine?"
yeah.
So I just keep trying to invite really interesting, really talented musicians to feature on these tracks and
Oh.
keep exposing people to more sounds and more instruments and create a
And
deeper sound.
in a way, it's okay if you look at it as an art. Okay, instruments God has made. He's the owner of the music.
Mm.
Then when you talk of the side of people using waja and tabla, don't you think they will feel, the people in the east, they'll feel, wow, you are spoiling the whole thing. It should be done with waja and tabla. She's using this and that. On ki kar rahi pai hai, pata nahi. Have you got anything like that feedback before?
Yes, a few people have messaged me, not that many actually, two people messaged me once, oh, it's against Rehat Maryada, what you're doing
Wow.
is a sin. So I said to this person, I said, do you know who invented the Baja? It was a
Hmm.
Frenchman named Alexander Dubane. Do you know that the
Okay.
Baja became popular in India in the 1700s because it was portable and affordable? That the instrument did not exist during our Guru's time and the Gurus never used the Baja? And if that's the case, why are you riding a car? Sit
Okay.
on a
Then it.
horse or walk everywhere. Apply
Okay.
it to all aspects of your life, not just
Correct.
an instrument, right? If you think that we should sing like the Gurus, then we should only play rabab and not
Correct.
even the tabla. Tabla wasn't invented yet. Why are we
Yes.
playing tabla? And
Okay.
if that bothers you so much, then please follow every aspect of how our gurus lived. Even though our gurus were the most forward thinking, revolutionary minded human beings that ever came to this earth, enlightened human beings that came and brought the knowledge of God to us. Guru Nanak is the first ever feminist on this planet. To come
Yes.
out 550 years ago and fight for women's rights, to say that a woman
Correct.
should live of that like a man,
Hmm.
550, even today we can't get these rights that Guru Nanak was talking about 550 years ago. So I will not be dragged back by anybody because I have my understanding, because I think it's very important to read, to research, and to understand and not make comments, because each of us have our own journey, and that's very important. The mistakes we make are very vital in turning us into the good human beings we should become. I know somebody in the UK. He is like he was the biggest party boy, drinking, women, drugs, everything. Today he's a Ganiji, does the
Oh,
most beautiful part and kirtan ever.
correct.
And
So what transformed?
the youth flock to him for advice because he's been where they've been. He's
Yes.
been that in that place. He's not some person sitting above it talking down to people. He can
Yes.
relate. He knows that feeling and what got him out of it. That's life. You're
Correct.
here to
So
have this human experience. So have
okay.
it.
So have it correct. So guys, anybody who is listening, please be patient with your kids. Okay. As of today, please be very patient. It's their journey. You can guide them, but don't be so hard on them. For those who have teenagers, it's really something like that. Regarding education, I just wanted to touch that aspect of it now. As of today, you are whatever you're releasing is touching the youth, the kids. Understand? Now, when you target them, but whatever feedback you are giving me is basically what you are getting from elders. How you plan to target them?
How do I plan to target the youth or elders?
The youth, elders, they are already in your radar. So the youth,
No,
that
you'd
is
be
something.
surprised. I go to the Gurdwara and the kids say Mangana auntie. So you'd be surprised
And
that
the
that
Shabbat that is saying,
Hanji.
the youth, when they call you, so they call you from your name Manika, but they call Mangna.
Mangana, because the one
Like
that was the first video I ever released was Mangana. And I think it was a tune
Mangana,
that
Mangana,
really Hanji. I think it is a tune
Yeah.
that really appealed to people and especially to children. So the number of children that listened to that shabad and would call me Mangana auntie was totally overwhelming. So
Okay,
the
okay. So
music is reaching the youth, but I guess I
From
would
Manika
ask
Kaur,
parents.
you're Mangna Kaur now in Gurdwaras.
Yeah, the kids say, "Oh, Mangana auntie, that's Mangana auntie." Yeah, like, yeah, okay, I'm Mangana auntie. I guess you know what? Look, I
When
have three kids. My
can
9-year-old
new
is
album?
learning. Anji, sorry.
When can we expect your new album?
So actually, it was supposed to come out this year, but because of Corona, the label delayed the release to next year. I think it's coming out in March or May. I'm not sure. I'm so bad with keeping on top of these
Or-
things. I create, and they can do the next part. I'm not interested in it. Um, but you were saying about to parents to kind of take it, give their kids a break or take it easy. But the thing is, it's very important for parents to expose their kids to lots
Hmm.
of shabads, lots of part, because you don't know what is going to catch your child's ear, what are they going to
Correct.
resonate with. Don't only show them what you like, show them everything. All the kirtan out there, they're all expressions of love for God, and there is space for every kind of
Hmm.
expression of love for God. So expose your children to all the different types of people doing kirtan in different ways, because something might just catch them, and then that helps them to find connection and so on and so forth. My son, he's 9. I'm teaching him Japji Sahib at the moment. He knows 30 podis now off by heart, and we're trying to get him to learn full Japji Sahib before 10. So,
Hmm.
having little goals with your kids, exposing them, telling them your personal stories, I think it's really important not to talk down to your kids, but to share your own learnings with your children, what you went through, and make it relatable for them. And I think it's very important to validate their feelings and not ever put them down. So if they come back and they're scared of something, it's just to say, yeah, I can understand that you're scared. I would be scared. So just validating them and empowering them is a very important combination. But empowering them with kind of Sikhi stories can do so much to help them kind of find strength in the in the guru's steps.
As a father of three, I'm getting to learn from you. So I'm going to try to open various kinds of kirtans other than the old one that we listen to regularly.
Yeah. Oh.
Which is your most inspiring jatha, ragi jatha that you love to listen to and whom you really like working with?
I loved growing up. I was always listening to Pai Niranjan Singh, and I still
Okay.
listen to Pai Niranjan Singh. I think everybody listens to Pai Harjinder Singh. And at the moment, I'm really, really falling in love with Pai Nantvir's Shabads. So, and just the way he sings, his choice of melodies, the times that he kind of decides to go up or come down, I think he really has the talent. And I think a
Mm.
lot of young people can find connection to that. And I think, what we should try and not do is try not to connect to the person, try to connect to the shabad. Don't judge the person singing and then let that deter you, because the person is only a human being. That's not an angel. That's not a god. That's not Guru Nanak. That is just a human being making their way through the world, just like me, making their mistakes, just like myself, and learning. So don't focus so much about the person and what they're doing, and even sometimes what they really, what their private lives are about. Just try to connect to the kirtan, try to connect to the message, and
Mhm.
not be move yourself away from that judgmental thinking.
Enjoy the Shabbat more than go back after that person's whereabouts.
Yes, yes. Don't worship anybody. Only worship
Yeah.
God.
You were just talking of Anantveer. The reason I'm asking you this again is when you say how do you reach out to the youth? I've listened to Payan Anantveer, but Payan Anantveer, the youth love him because the energy that he puts in the Shabbat.
And
If you just see like there's NKJ, there's Anantveer, most of these have a huge fan followings of the youth because they put so much energy in the music. You see, like when they go and just repeat one line three, four times with high tone, that just puts your wrong tape boom.
yeah,
So that was something that I was asking you. In your new, mostly you go with soft, melodious,
Anji,
calm,
Anji.
correct. I want you to come something one where like just try something one fully energy packed. You see, I know because when I see kids listening in the car and all, they okay. Pai Gurpreet Singh Shimla Wale when his Shabad came, Thakur Gaiye Atam Rang. I'm telling you, band was like every car Thakur Gaiye Atam Rang and with energy because he sang with so much energy. So I thought about these kids. If you open something harmonious, soft, only 50 plus will listen because their brain is full of tensions and problems and they want a small wave to come and take. But with kids who are open free, they need energy. Please come up with something very energetic and test your market on that.
Sure.
Just
I mean, I'm always experimenting, and I have some very high energy shabads in my new album, which is my album that is really for children. So let's see. Sorry, when that comes out, let's see how it gets received. But I have to say that if you look at the statistics, right,
mm,
there is more anxiety in children today than ever before, and this is a lot to do with social media.
correct.
Suicides in children are higher today than ever before. As young as 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, we have
Mm,
children addicted to games. They have centers to help children addicted to gaming. And these are all high energy things. Social media is
okay,
exciting. The
correct.
news is told in such a way that it is almost like a TV show or something. And
Mm,
these Fortnite games are super exciting. So honestly, I feel like people have responded really well. And the reason that my music has ended up on the world music charts and Kirtan has been signed to labels, big labels in the US, and
okay.
received awards. And I've been on BBC World News and The Sunday Show, and I keep getting played on mainstream radio, is because it's soothing.
Yes,
It's because
correct.
people need something that calms their energy down
Mm,
in a
correct.
world that wants to make them frenetic,
Yes.
something that will pull and center them and
Mm,
root them. And I also feel like there are people out there like Payananthvir and so on who do what they do so well, and it's so appreciated and it's so important and that's so great. But then there are people who do all different things and all are required, all are needed because you just don't know who's going to resonate with what, when, and how it's going to help them get through whatever it is that they may be facing at that time.
now, one more thing that I would like to ask you here is with a population of around about 20 million Sikhs throughout the world, I don't know how far it's true, but if we talk of international Kirtan artists, we can just count on our fingers. Why is it so less?
I think people need to encourage more women to come forward and sing because I think it's very powerful for children to see their mother singing.
Yes.
So I think that a lot for a long time culturally, it's like let's hide the girls. It's a cultural thing, not a Sikhi thing. It's that kind of
Okay.
Indian culture that has seeped into kind of the Sikhi
Protecting.
mindset. So I think kind of letting people come forward. Also, the world is getting extremely judgmental, so people feel scared. They're living
Mm,
in this, concern of what will this person say, what will that person say, and that's a prison, and that will only lead to unhappiness. So I think break free out of that and just start trying. And if somebody has something negative to say, it's a reflection of them, not a reflection of you. At least you're trying.
so we want more people to come out, like you said,
Absolutely. I hope
mostly.
more and more people come out with kirtan raps and all sorts of things because that may be the thing that helps them get through something difficult and then
Have you,
helps.
like you just said, Kirtan raps. Has anybody come out? Have you heard anybody singing? I just anyone.
Um, I haven't heard anybody do kirtan rap, but I have. There is an artist in Australia, L Fresh the Lion, who raps, and at the beginning of one of his shabads, he actually has like it's not shabads, sorry. He's a mainstream artist. He does songs that are played on the radio, and at the beginning, you have a little bit of like ardas or like bole sonihal infused in it.
Mm,
And personally, I think it's great what he's doing. The gatekeepers who are trying to kind of hold kirtan in this one place They need to
Correct.
move aside and they need to let the young people come in and experiment, because nobody's trying to disrespect it.
Correct.
Everybody's trying to find their connection to God and they have their own way.
Okay,
So like
perfect.
move aside and let the kids do what they need to do, you know.
Own way of expression of love of
For God.
any. Correct, correct.
Yeah.
So it's new for me also. So something good and something new to learn and something more we need to open up to whoever comes up. It's an art, okay, until and unless you don't discriminate. Okay, so that's something good. So we are actually 50 minutes from the 30 minutes plan that we have. Last
Oh,
few that we have. When is your next trip to Bangkok? Will you launch this next album in Thailand, in UK, or in Australia?
okay. One thing I want to quickly touch on is, you know, you asked me about rap.
Yes.
If you do the Jap Sahib in the tempo that Guru Gobind Singh Ji wrote it, it's like a rap song, like a
Really?
rap shabad. Think about it.
Okay.
If you can you
I'll
hear it
just,
in your head like namasting kale namas. Do you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
If you do it, it sounds almost like a rap. So for me, the first rap artist ever was Guru Gobind Singh Ji.
Okay, correct, correct. When you listen the job said, correct. It will
Yeah,
go
just
like
listen to it like that. And you know, they
that.
put a really heavy tabla beat underneath it. Actually, back
Yes,
then it wasn't even a dole. That other drum instrument had a different name, but they would play that and do this like this. It's like a rap. It's done in
oh,
that tempo that raps are done. So there you go. But with the next album, I'll be releasing it in London.
okay.
But it will get a worldwide release because of 6 Degrees. So they'll do a worldwide release of the album. But I'm living in London. I have 3 children. I have two very young children. I was planning to come to Bangkok at the end of this year, but because of Corona, I'm not going to be doing that. But most likely, hopefully, next summer,
Next summer.
next year in end of June, like July, hopefully I'll be in Bangkok.
Hopefully you
I
won't
love
be
coming
having
to Bangkok. So.
no, you will not be having to quarantine also 14 days.
You know, it's really difficult traveling with kids, and coming from London to Bangkok is 13 hours. It's with
And
twins. My
no,
God.
13 hours is not a problem. Now, when you come Bangkok, you have to stay 14 days quarantine in a hotel
Yeah,
before
that's
coming out.
definitely that's definitely not going to work out if
How's
I.
the feel out there in London regarding the COVID-19? Is it better? Is it still worrisome?
I don't think it's ever been that worrisome in the sense that, you know, people are going to parks, people are out, and I mean, how to take a stand. Some people think that the government's done a terrible job. Some people think that the government's done a great job. So
Correct.
it's really just a personal opinion. For me personally, my life hasn't changed so drastically because, anyways, I work from home and I'm with my kids 24/7 pretty much. So when they nap, I get on my computer and work or get in front of my keyboard and compose. So my life hasn't really like changed that drastically, but a lot of people's has. So just trying, you know, the Sikh community here have stepped up massively, turning our
Mm.
gurdwaras into food banks.
Yeah.
People have gathered to make donations to, and you know, we have like so many different organizations here helping the wider community. So
Uh,
it's been really beautiful for us to see just how Guru Nanak's legacy is
is
carrying on.
being through us agents,
Yes.
through with our agents. At the end, I would like you to share something close to your heart that you have passed in your life, something like you said, when in times of difficulty, it was Bani, it was Gurbani, it was Shabad that actually made you come out of that. To inspire some of our youth, some of our viewers who might be watching this video later, words of encouragement for them, basically. Why they need to grasp Gurbani, grasp it without even understanding it as a beginner. Your views, please.
Well, I would say that I'm a lot like those people because I also struggle to understand. I need to look up the meanings and take the time to really understand it. Um, when I delivered my eldest son, I almost died. And then I was sick for a year and a half.
Mm.
And that experience, for a period of time, I was in the darkest place. I was very bitter. I was very angry. I was very hurt by people around me as well. I was very upset with the doctor. And there was a moment that I'd come to Bangkok actually for Peke with my son. At that time, he was 6 months old. And I was still sick. I was still recovering. And my father was sitting in front of me and he said, you know, there's a darkness around you. There's a heaviness, a heavy energy around you. What's going on? And I said, you know what happened to me. And he said, but who made that happen? Like, why did that happen? What was the purpose of it? And I said, yeah, but the doctor this. And he goes, but who's above the doctor? And I said, yeah, but this person, that person, this. And he goes, who's above that? Who's above that? Who's above that? He kept
Yeah.
trying to pull me out of my emotion and get me to sit on top and analyze and not
Correct.
live in the emotion. By asking me that question, he was pulling me out to sit on top and get more of like a bird's eye view. And then I just burst into tears and I said, God. And he said, the moment you accept that is the moment you'll stop feeling this way. And that day, something inside me just changed. I let go of all this bitterness, this self-pity that I almost died. I couldn't sit for so many months. I've been on antibiotics every month, and I was on antibiotics for 1.5 years, actually. So it took a long time for me to recover from this experience. It's very hard becoming a mother, but becoming a mother and going through health problems and for such a long time, along with situations outside of yourself, pressure all around you in the situation that I was in, it was a lot all at the same time. And it was Sikhi, it was Kirtan, it was taking the time to pray that got me out of it. Because what would that hurt and anger, how would it have served me? It would have affected my health and my mental state negatively. If I'm a victim, that means that my power isn't mine. I've given it to somebody else. I'm a victim. So that was really the first step of me getting out of this victim mindset and seeing God's hand in everything. And then now that experience that was supposed to maybe break me is now one of the most beautiful experiences in my life.
Correct.
Because of what it gave me.
So
And
you
that's
can
a
say
gift.
the turning point of your life.
Yeah. It was a start of something new.
If I can summarize it, your dad was just trying to tell you, "Tera pana mitha lage."
Yeah.
What all happens is according to the pana or the raza by the Almighty.
Yeah. But it's one thing to say that, it's another thing to feel it. In the
We are,
feeling, there's a freedom. The saying is like you're trying to convince yourself, but
yes.
you have to do the work it takes to feel it. And that comes through contemplation, meditation, understanding yourself. Stop looking outside, stop blaming other people, and start asking yourself the questions. Why are you attracting this? What is it about me that is creating this reality?
So basically, you didn't have to go any psychology guy,
No, I
any
didn't.
meditation class, any kawat type what, something like that.
But I recommend all of it. Go do it all. Go do everything. There's nothing right or wrong. It's your journey. Go do it. Find
Okay,
your answers.
that's something beautiful that you're sharing. Be open, whatever takes you anywhere for the good cause, for the better. Try it.
That's what I always say. My son gave birth to me.
Okay, your elder son gave birth
My
to you.
eldest son, when I had him,
Mm.
it was like I was reborn in that moment as well.
So he's 9 years old, correct?
Yes.
So are you 9 years old as of now?
I'm 38
Ah,
years old.
so we need to celebrate together birthdays. Your dad must be having to cut his birthday along with yours. My daughter's journey life starts from 29.
Okay, wow. I got married at 23.
Okay. Okay, Manika, that was great talking to you, and I would congratulate you now only for your next album. So, people, your fans, everybody's waiting. The coronavirus is here. I think so. You can move it a bit early also to release it. So, it will help people who are distressed due to the COVID 19. people's revenues are falling, people out of jobs, salary cut everywhere. So just hope everybody gets good everything in life. And today I'd like to thank Manika again for being here on Classic News. Actually, I don't know what came into me to just, I wanted you on the show and I just wrote it on your messenger. So thank you for accepting it.
No, thank you for inviting me. I'm very humbled to be here.
And your friends, relatives in Thailand, they'll be happy to watch you. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਲਾਈਵ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਪਈ ਹੈ Okay, Swadika Manka, and thank you and see you again. Congratulations on again.
Thank you so much. Sasrikal.
Okay, guys, that was Manika Kaur. Okay, really thank her for accepting my invitation. And we had to go live tomorrow, but I wrote the date wrong on the poster. So normally we have the Friday shows. Oh, I need to make a little bit announcement. Next week, Saturday, 23rd October, not Saturday, there's the Radisson Blue Plaza, Grand Ballroom, 4th floor. There is a happiness fair where they'll be having cooking competition. That's something new, guys. It's a cooking competition, so please be there. People who are participating at the cooking competition will be given certificates to acknowledge their cooking talents, which they can use to show wherever they are going to find jobs or whatever they need to present. And let me announce to you first time again here on air, Icon Siam Bangkok will be celebrating through iconic events. First ever Diwali, 13th, 14th, 15th November. Save the dates, 13th, 14th, 15th November. This year Diwali, Deepmala is on 14th November. And to make it an event throughout years to come in Thailand, we have the three companies that are involved in this event is Make Thai Trip, that's Destination Siam, Dubai Bazaar, and our own network Thaisik News. Okay, so and lastly, this is our event coming 31st October and 1st September to 1st November to support the new vendors at the Holiday Inn Sukhumvit Talab, Thai, India. So, guys, that was all. Really had a good time with Manika. Something good to learn. I hope you all loved it, shared it. Please share the video request, please. Thank you. Sawasdee krap.